Faithful hearts. A journey of unwavering loyalty. The German Shepherd's eyes reflected the falling snow like twin amber flames, defiant against the darkness. She didn't whimper or bark, just remained perfectly still, a silent sentinel against the bitter cold. Her breath formed delicate clouds that vanished into the night, each exhale a testament to a promise made. What compels a creature to endure such suffering? What invisible thread of loyalty keeps her tethered to this frozen park bench, while the temperature plummets to single digits, and the rest of the world retreats indoors? Perhaps it's the same force that drives humans to wait at airport terminals, long after flights have been canceled, or beside hospital beds when all hope seems lost. Faith, the stubborn belief that someone will return, despite all evidence to the contrary. The discovery I spotted her from my kitchen window. At first, I mistook her for just another snow-covered shape in the twilight, another shadow cast by the storm. But something caught my attention. The unnatural stillness, the deliberate placement. I wiped the condensation from the glass and squinted through the curtain of falling snow. That's when I saw her clearly. A German Shepherd puppy, no more than 6 months old, huddled inside a duffel bag on the park bench across from my house. The bag was unzipped just enough for her head to poke through, watching the road with an intensity that made my chest tighten. The temperature had dropped to 8 degrees, and the wind chill made it feel even colder. My name is Walter Mitchell. I'm 65 years old and spent 32 years driving the local school bus before retiring last spring. I've seen plenty in my time. Children waiting in all kinds of weather, good days and bad, but never anything like this. I pulled on my boots, coat, and gloves without hesitation. The bitter cold hit me like a physical blow as I stepped outside, but I pressed forward, my boots crunching through fresh snow as I crossed the street. The puppy saw me approaching but didn't flee or bark. She simply watched, her body trembling visibly, even from a distance. I called softly, approaching with measured steps. "What are you doing out here all alone?" "What alone?" As I drew closer, I noticed her paws, the edges raw and red from exposure. How long had she been sitting here? The snow around the bench was undisturbed, except for a single set of footprints leading away. Someone had deliberately placed her there and walked away. I crouched down, keeping my movements slow and predictable. The puppy's eyes, a rich amber brown, never left my face. They held neither fear nor hope, just a stoic patience that seemed out of place in one so young. When I reached toward the duffel bag, she flinched slightly but didn't growl. That's when I noticed a piece of paper tucked into the bag's side pocket. With numbed fingers, I carefully extracted and unfolded it. "Her name is Luna. I'm sorry. I had no choice. Please, be kind to her. She's the best dog ever." The handwriting was uneven and hurried, a child's writing. My throat tightened as I looked back at the puppy. Luna was watching me, but I sensed she was also watching the road beyond, as if expecting someone else. "Luna," I said softly, testing the name. Her ears twitched slightly. The only acknowledgement. I understood then what had happened. Luna hadn't been abandoned carelessly. She'd been left with heartbreaking deliberation by someone who felt they had no other option. Someone who had promised to return, or at least had let Luna believe they would. And she was still waiting, stoically enduring the bitter cold, rather than abandoning her post. I gently slid my hands beneath her and lifted the entire duffel bag. She tensed momentarily, but offered no resistance beyond a soft whimper that might have been confusion or resignation. She was surprisingly light, too light for a puppy her size. I cradled the bag against my chest, shielding her from the wind as I carried her home. A new shelter my house isn't much. A small two-bedroom ranch-style home with worn furniture and too many books. But it's warm and quiet. I set Luna down near the radiator in the living room, where the heat was strongest. The room smelled of pine and coffee, with undertones of the sourdough bread I'd baked that morning. I fully unzipped the duffel bag, but Luna made no move to emerge. She remained huddled inside, watching me with those intense amber eyes. I didn't push. Instead, I sat on the floor a few feet away and waited. Time passed slowly. Outside, the snow continued to fall in thick, silent curtains. Inside, the only sounds were the soft hiss of the radiator and Luna's shallow breathing. After nearly 20 minutes, she cautiously extended one paw from the bag, then another. Her movements were stiff and hesitant, as if she wasn't sure she had permission to exist in this new space. She emerged fully, but stayed close to the duffel bag. Her coat was a rich black and tan, the classic markings of a German shepherd, though her fur was matted in places. Despite her obvious hunger and exhaustion, she carried herself with dignity, her ears alert and her gaze steady. I noticed a small collar around her neck with a simple metal tag. Just as the note had said, the name Luna was etched into one side. The other side was blank. No address, no phone number. "Luna," I said again, keeping my voice gentle. "You're safe now." She didn't approach, but settled onto the hardwood floor. Her body curved defensively, nose tucked between her paws. Her eyes remained open, watching every move I made. In the kitchen, I found an old can of dog food left over from when I'd temporarily taken in a stray last winter. I warmed it slightly, added some water to make it more palatable, and placed the bowl at a respectful distance from Luna. The scent of food eventually overcame her caution. She approached the bowl with slow, deliberate steps, her eyes flicking between me and the food. When she finally ate, it was with small, measured bites, the careful eating of an animal who doesn't trust that there will be more later. After finishing, she returned directly to the duffel bag and crawled inside, choosing its familiar confines over the soft blanket I'd laid out nearby. My heart ached at the sight. Luna wasn't just clinging to a scent or a comfortable spot. She was holding on to the last connection to whoever had left her, maintaining her vigil even here, inside my warm house. That night, I left a light on in the living room and checked on her periodically. Each time I found her in exactly the same position, curled inside the duffel bag, eyes open, watching the front door with unwavering attention. Waiting. The first day's morning arrived with brilliant sunshine that belied the Arctic temperatures. Luna hadn't moved from her makeshift shelter, though her eyes followed me as I entered the living room. I brewed coffee and prepared another bowl of dog food, setting it down where she could reach it without venturing too far from her bag. This time, she waited until I had backed away before emerging to eat. After finishing, she drank some water and immediately returned to her post. Her routine was precise, almost ritual, as if deviating might somehow break whatever promise kept her waiting. I settled into my recliner with the morning newspaper and began reading aloud. Weather reports, local news, even the classified ads. I wasn't reading for any particular purpose other than to let Luna become accustomed to my voice, to establish some normalcy in this strange situation we found ourselves in. To my surprise, she seemed to listen. Her ears would turn slightly toward me when my voice rose or fell with the rhythm of certain stories. Her posture remained alert, but became marginally less tense as the morning progressed. This became our pattern over the next few days. I would prepare food, read aloud, go about my routines, and Luna would watch, always from the safety of her duffel bag, always with one eye on the door. On the fourth morning, something changed. I came downstairs to find the duffel bag empty. For a moment, panic gripped me. Had she somehow escaped? But then I spotted her sitting by the front window, her gaze fixed on the park bench across the street. The sight stopped me in my tracks. There was something profoundly moving about her vigilance, about the perfect stillness of her silhouette against the morning light. She wasn't just looking. She was waiting with her entire being. I brought her breakfast to the window, setting it down beside her, but she ignored it. Even when I sat nearby, she gave no indication that she was aware of my presence. Her focus remained absolute, unbreakable. It wasn't until 3:15 in the afternoon, when the yellow school bus lumbered to a stop at the corner, that I understood. Luna's ears perked forward, her body tensed slightly, leaning toward the window. She watched as the bus doors opened, as a few children stepped out into the snow. And when the bus pulled away again, she continued to watch the empty street for several minutes before finally turning away. That evening, I sat on the floor beside her. "I don't know who left you there," I said quietly, not expecting her to understand my words, but hoping she might sense my meaning. "But I can see you're still waiting for them. That kind of loyalty is rare, you know." Luna turned to look at me, and for the first time, something shifted in her gaze. She didn't wag her tail or move closer, but she blinked slowly, deliberately, as if acknowledging my presence in a new way. Then, almost imperceptibly, she leaned slightly toward me until her shoulder just barely touched my hand. It wasn't much, just the faintest pressure, the smallest concession. But it felt monumental. That night, I didn't find Luna in her duffel bag. Instead, she was curled up on the floor just outside my bedroom door, still vigilant, still cautious, but closer now. Slow thawing the next morning brought another small miracle. When I knelt down to greet Luna, she didn't retreat. Her body remained tense, but she allowed me to gently stroke her head. No wagging tail, no enthusiastic response, but no withdrawal either. I made oatmeal for myself and scrambled an egg for Luna, mixing it with the remaining dog food. I would need to buy proper supplies soon if she was staying. The thought surprised me. When had I decided she was staying? Perhaps when I first carried her through the door, or perhaps just now, as she cautiously followed me into the kitchen, her nails clicking softly against the tile. She ate with the same careful precision, but this time she finished everything in her bowl. Afterward, instead of returning to her spot by the window, she settled near my feet as I sat at the kitchen table. Progress continued slowly over the following days. Luna began to explore the house, though always with one eye on the front door or window. She stayed close when I was home, but maintained a careful distance, never quite relaxing completely, never quite forgetting her vigil. I bought proper dog food, a comfortable bed, which she ignored in favor of sleeping near my door, toys, which initially confused her, and a leash, which we used only briefly for our first tentative walk around the yard. Through it all, Luna maintained her afternoon ritual. At 3:15, she would take up her position by the window and watch as the school bus made its stop. Some deeply ingrained sense of time kept her internal clock precise, regardless of weather or weekend. At night, I often found myself looking at the note I'd found in the duffel bag. The childish handwriting, the simple words heavy with unspoken emotion. "Her name is Luna. I'm sorry. I had no choice. Please be kind to her. She's the best dog ever." I couldn't stop wondering about the person who wrote it. A child, clearly, but how old? What circumstances could have been so dire that abandoning a beloved pet seemed like the only option? And was Luna's faithful waiting justified? Was there any chance of reunion, or was she holding on to a promise that could never be fulfilled? I started making calls, cautious inquiries to local animal shelters, schools, and community services. I didn't share many details, just asked if anyone knew of a child who might have recently been separated from a German Shepherd puppy. Most responses were polite but unhelpful, until I received a call from Eleanor Jenkins, a social worker at Riverside Elementary School. "I might know something about your situation," she said carefully. "We had a student, Noah Winters, 12 years old. He disappeared from school about a week before that big snowstorm. His mother was hospitalized after an incident. I can't share details, and Noah was placed in emergency foster care." He was distraught about something he had to leave behind. My heart quickened. "A dog? A German Shepherd puppy?" A pause. "Yes, he talked about her constantly. Said she was his only friend after everything that happened." "How did you know?" I looked at Luna, who was curled up by the fireplace, her eyes half closed but still angled toward the front door. "Because I think she's still waiting for him." The search Eleanor agreed to help. She couldn't share Noah's current location due to confidentiality policies, but she'd promised to contact his caseworker and explore possibilities. In the meantime, Luna and I settled into a routine that felt increasingly comfortable, even as it remained shadowed by her persistent vigilance. She was beginning to show small signs of attachment to me, following me from room to room, resting her head against my leg when I sat reading, accepting brief moments of affection. But always there remained a part of her that was elsewhere, waiting. Her physical health improved steadily. Her coat regained its luster, her ribs no longer protruded, and her raw paws healed completely. She even began to play occasionally, cautious interactions with a rope toy that seemed to surprise her as much as they delighted me. 2 weeks after I found Luna, Eleanor called again. "I've spoken with Noah's caseworker," she said. "He's in a good placement now, about 40 minutes from you. His foster parents are willing to arrange a supervised visit if you think it would help." "Did you tell him about Luna?" I asked. "We showed him a photo. Her voice caught slightly. "He cried, said, 'That's my Luna girl.' She waited for me." Something tightened in my chest, a mixture of relief, anticipation, and a strange, unexpected grief. I looked at Luna, dozing by the fireplace, and realized how accustomed I'd grown to her presence. How would she react to seeing Noah again? And what would happen afterward? "When can we meet?" I asked. We arranged the visit for the following Saturday. I didn't tell Luna, couldn't tell her, of course, but somehow she seemed to sense that something was changing. The night before the visit, she abandoned her usual sleeping spot by my door and instead curled up with her nose pressed against the front entry, as if anticipating an arrival. Saturday morning dawned clear and cold. Luna ate little breakfast, her attention drifting repeatedly to the duffel bag I'd placed by the door, washed and ready, just in case. I'd come to understand that the bag wasn't just a container to her, it was a symbol, a physical connection to Noah. We left early, Luna sitting in the passenger seat of my old truck, her head just high enough to see out the window. She remained unusually still during the drive, her eyes tracking the passing landscape with focused intensity. The foster home was located in a pleasant suburban neighborhood. Modest houses with well-kept yards and basketball hoops and driveways. We pulled up in front of a blue 2-story with cheerful curtains and a welcoming front porch. A woman in her 40s stood waiting, bundled against the cold in a thick green coat. "I'm Melissa," she said warmly as I parked. "Noah's inside. He's been up since dawn." Luna jumped down from the truck without prompting. She stood very still for a moment, her nose working the air, her body suddenly vibrating with an energy I hadn't seen before. She looked at the house, then back at me, as if asking permission. "Go ahead," I said softly. "He's waiting for you." Luna didn't run. She walked with measured steps across the front yard, her tail low but not tucked, her ears fully forward. Melissa held the door open, and Luna slipped inside with purpose. I followed, stepping into a warm living room decorated with family photos and comfortable furniture. And there, kneeling in the center of a colorful rug, was Noah. He was small for 12, thin, with a scattering of freckles across his pale face and unruly brown hair that fell across his forehead. He wore jeans with worn knees and a blue hoodie that seemed a size too large. His hands were clasped tightly in front of him, and his eyes, wide, anxious, hopeful, were fixed on Luna. For one eternal moment, they both froze. Luna stood completely still, her body rigid with attention. Noah's lips parted, trembled, then formed a single word. Luna. The spell broke. Luna launched forward with a sound that was part whine, part cry. The first vocal sound I'd heard from her since bringing her home. She crossed the room in a blur of motion and collided with Noah, nearly bowling him over with the force of her greeting. Unlike the restrained, cautious dog I'd come to know, this Luna was all movement and emotion. She pressed her entire body against Noah, squirming and trembling, licking his face, his hands, his tears. Her tail whipped back and forth with such force it seemed in danger of coming loose. Noah's arms wrapped around her neck, his face buried in her fur. "I'm sorry," he sobbed, the words muffled but distinct. "I'm so sorry. I didn't want to leave you. They made me. They wouldn't let me bring you." Luna responded by pressing even closer, as if trying to eliminate any space between them. There was something almost sacred in their reunion, a communication beyond words, a connection that transcended the limitations of different species. I stood transfixed, my own eyes burning with unexpected tears. This was Luna as she was meant to be, her true self, unleashed by love and recognition. And in that moment, I understood that no matter how well I had cared for her, I had only been witnessing a shadow of who she really was. Crossroads, Melissa invited me to stay longer than the scheduled hour. We sat in the kitchen with mugs of hot chocolate, while Noah and Luna remained inseparable in the living room. He spoke to her continuously in a low, earnest voice, and she watched him with complete adoration, responding to his every movement with attentive joy. "He's been through so much," Melissa said quietly. "His mother's situation was complicated. Addiction issues, unstable housing. Noah basically took care of himself, and Luna, for months before authorities intervened. When they placed him in emergency care, there was no provision for the dog." I nodded, thinking of the note. "So he left her at the park bench near my house, wrapped in a duffel bag with instructions. He thought someone would find her quickly," Melissa explained. "He chose that spot because it's visible from several houses. He didn't want to hand her over to a shelter, was afraid she'd be put down or given to strangers who wouldn't understand her. He told his first caseworker about her right away, but by then the storm had hit." Her voice trailed off, and we both glanced toward the living room, where Noah was showing Luna his small collection of belongings, a worn comic book, a handheld video game, a baseball cap. "Will he be staying with you permanently?" I asked. Melissa shook her head. "We're a transitional home. He'll be moving to a permanent placement next month, a couple in Pinewood. They've already been approved to adopt him." And Luna, her expression grew troubled. "That's complicated. The family has 2 other children and a cat. They're hesitant about taking on a dog with Luna's history and attachment issues. They're good people, but I understood. Luna wasn't just any dog. She came with a story, with needs, with a bond that was powerful enough to sustain her through abandonment and bitter cold. She wasn't a blank slate, and neither was Noah." Before I could respond, Noah appeared in the doorway, Luna pressed against his side. "Can she stay?" he asked, his voice small but determined. "Just for today." Melissa and I exchanged glances. It wasn't what we had planned, but separating them now seemed unnecessarily cruel. "Just for today," I agreed. I'll come back tomorrow." Noah's face lit up with a smile that transformed him from a wary, prematurely aged child into a boy filled with genuine joy. "Thank you, sir. I promise I'll take good care of her." "I know you will," I said, and realized I meant it completely. I drove home alone, the passenger seat conspicuously empty. The house felt larger and quieter than I remembered. I moved through the evening routines mechanically. Dinner, dishes, television, aware of Luna's absence in 100 small ways. The missing click of her nails on the hardwood, the absence of her watchful presence, the untouched water bowl in the corral. Kitchen. The next day I returned to the foster home as promised. Luna greeted me with friendly recognition but quickly returned to Noah's side. They had spent the night together, Melissa told me. Luna curled protectively around the boy on his bed, both sleeping soundly for the first time in weeks. Noah approached me with solemn dignity beyond his years. "Thank you for taking care of Luna," he said formally. "She told me you were kind to her." "She told you, did she?" I asked, smiling gently. He nodded with complete seriousness. "Not with words, but I can tell. She's not scared anymore." "He's not scared anymore." I crouched down to his eye level. "You left her in a safe place. You did the best you could in a hard situation." His eyes welled with tears. "I didn't want to. I told her to wait, and that I'd come back. I didn't know it would snow so much. I didn't know it would take so long. But she waited," I said softly. "And now you've found each other again." The question of what happened next hung unspoken between us. Would Luna return home with me today? Would Noah be allowed to visit her? Or was there another solution, one that might keep them together? The resolution over the next few weeks, a delicate dance unfolded. Luna divided her time between my house and Noah's foster home. During the week she stayed with me, accompanying me on daily walks, gradually becoming more playful and relaxed. On weekends, I would drive her to Melissa's, where she and Noah would spend precious hours rekindling their bond. It wasn't ideal, but it was working. Until I received the call we'd been anticipating and dreading. Noah's permanent placement was finalized. He would be moving to Pinewood the following week, to live with the Marshall family. They had a comfortable home, a fenced yard, and genuine affection for the solemn boy who had entered their lives. What they didn't have was an openness to adopting Luna. They're concerned about her attachment to Noah, Eleanor explained gently. They worry it might interfere with his integration into their family. And there are practical considerations: the cat, their younger children, the additional expense. I understood their reasoning, even as I grieved for what it would mean for Noah and Luna. That evening, I sat with Luna on the porch, her head resting comfortably on my knee. "We need to make a decision," I told her, stroking her sleek fur. "And it needs to be what's best for Noah, not just what's easiest for us." Luna looked up at me with those intelligent amber eyes, and I felt she understood more than I gave her credit for. She had already survived one heartbreaking separation. How would she handle another? And Noah, would losing Luna again damage something essential in him, some capacity for trust that was only beginning to heal? The next day, I made a decision. Without calling ahead, Luna and I drove to Pinewood, to the address Eleanor had reluctantly shared. It was a longer journey, nearly 2 hours of country roads, winding through farmland and small towns. Luna sat alert the entire time, somehow sensing our destination was significant. The Marshall home was a pleasant 2-story with a large maple tree in the front yard and a basketball hoop over the garage. As we pulled into the driveway, I saw Noah sitting on the front steps, a book open on his lap. He looked up at the sound of the truck, his expression shifting from curiosity to disbelief to pure joy as he recognized Luna. She was out of the truck in an instant, racing across the lawn to greet him. Their reunion was just as emotional as the first, filled with the kind of unconditional love that makes witnessing it feel almost intrusive. A man and woman, the Marshalls, I presumed, appeared in the doorway, watching with surprised expressions. I approached slowly, giving Noah and Luna their moment. "I'm Walter Mitchell," I introduced myself. I've been taking care of Luna while Noah was in transition. Mrs. Marshall recovered first, extending her hand. "Janet Marshall, this is my husband, Paul. We weren't expecting, that is, we were told the dog situation was resolved." "Nothing's been resolved," I said honestly. "I just thought you should see them together before any final decisions are made." We watched as Noah led Luna around the yard, showing her his new surroundings with animated gestures. She followed attentively, responding to his every word and movement with devoted interest. "He's been so withdrawn since he arrived," Mrs. Marshall said softly. "This is the most animated we've seen him." "Luna isn't just a pet to Noah," I explained. "She's been his constant when nothing else was. She waited for him when he couldn't come back, stayed in the exact spot where he left her until I found her. That kind of loyalty, it teaches something important about love, about trust." Mr. Marshall frowned thoughtfully. "We have concerns about taking on a dog right now." "Practical concerns, I understand," I said. "Which is why I'd like to propose something different." An hour later, we had reached an agreement. Luna would continue living primarily with me, but Noah would have regular, frequent visitation, weekends, holidays, and 2 weeks during summer break. The Marshalls would provide transportation to and from my home, which was now only a 30-minute drive from their new address. As Noah adjusted to his new family, these arrangements could be reevaluated. It wasn't perfect, but as I explained to Noah, it meant Luna would always be part of his life. He considered this solemnly, then nodded with the gravity of a child who has learned too early that compromise is sometimes the best available option. "Luna knows 2 homes now," he said, his hand resting on her head. "She knows how to love people in different places." Out of the mouths of babes, I thought, a lump forming in my throat. That evening I drove home with Luna, who slept peacefully in the passenger seat, exhausted from the emotional day. For the first time since I'd found her, she seemed fully at ease. No watchful vigilance, no holding part of herself in reserve. She had seen Noah, confirmed he was safe, and somehow understood they would not be permanently separated again. When we arrived home, she didn't go to the window. She didn't check the duffel bag, which still sat in the corner of the living room. Instead, she climbed onto the couch, something she'd never done before, stretched out fully and fell into deep, contented sleep. I sat beside her, gently stroking her soft ears, and realized that sometimes love doesn't look the way we expect it to. Sometimes it's shared custody and long drives and complicated arrangements. Sometimes it's a retired bus driver and a boy from a broken home sharing stewardship of a loyal heart that had room enough for both of them. The meaning and faithfulness in the months that followed, our unusual arrangement flourished. Noah settled into his new family with growing comfort. His academic performance improved, and he began making friends at his new school. Luna thrived as well, developing into a confident, joyful dog who greeted each day with enthusiasm while maintaining her deeply loyal nature. Our weekend transitions became a cherished ritual. Luna would wake early on Saturday mornings, already aware that Noah would arrive soon. She would sit by the front door, tail sweeping the floor in anticipation. When the Marshall's car pulled into the driveway, she would dance with excitement but wait patiently until Noah entered before showering him with affection. These reunions never grew routine or diminished in their joy. Each time, Luna greeted Noah as if he were returning from a long journey, and each time his face would light up with the pure happiness that only unconditional love can inspire. I came to know the marshals well during these exchanges. Janet was a kindergarten teacher with a natural affinity for nurturing. Paul worked as an architect with a passion for restoration rather than new construction. I believe in preserving what's valuable, he told me once, in finding the beauty in what already exists. Over time, I recognized this philosophy extended to their approach with Noah, honoring his past while helping him build a future. During one weekend visit, as Noah and Luna played fetch in the backyard, Janet confided in me when we first agreed to adopt Noah. We thought we were simply giving a home to a child who needed one. We didn't realize we were adopting an entire history, his relationship with Luna included. Do you regret it? I asked. She smiled, watching Noah laugh as Luna pranced around him with a tennis ball. Not for a second. His capacity for loyalty, for loving something so completely despite separation and hardship, that's a strength, not a weakness. Luna isn't competing with us for his affection. She's teaching him that his heart has room for many kinds of love. This insight struck me profoundly. In our society, we often treat loyalty as a simple virtue, something to be praised in greeting cards and inspirational posters. But true loyalty, the kind Luna demonstrated on that frozen bench and continues to embody every day, is complex and challenging. It asks us to remember when forgetting would be easier. It demands faith when evidence suggests otherwise. It requires courage to keep our hearts open even after they've been wounded. Luna's faithfulness transformed everyone it touched. It gave Noah a foundation of security during tumultuous change. It offered the marshals a window into the depth of character possessed by the boy they were welcoming into their family. And it gave me, a solitary man whose routines had grown perhaps too comfortable, a new purpose and connection. The duffel bag still sits in my living room, though Luna no longer sleeps in it. I keep it as a reminder of how she came into my life and of the lessons she continues to teach. In a world that increasingly values convenience and instant gratification, Luna's steadfast waiting represents something precious and endangered, the willingness to endure discomfort for love, to maintain hope against logic, to believe in promises when evidence suggests they cannot be kept. I sometimes wonder about the future. Noah will grow up, go to college perhaps, build his own life. Luna will age as all dogs do, her muzzle gradually silvering, her gait slowing. I too grow older each year. Our arrangement will evolve, adapt to changing circumstances. But I have faith that the connection between a boy and his dog, strengthened rather than weakened by separation, will remain unbroken. Last week, Noah left something with Luna after their weekend together. A worn friendship bracelet tied carefully around her collar. So she always knows I'm coming back, he explained seriously. Even when I can't be here. Luna doesn't need such tangible reminders. Her faith has always transcended physical tokens. But she carries the bracelet proudly, as if understanding its significance to Noah. And sometimes, when the house is quiet and she's dozing by the fireplace, I see her paw lift to touch it gently in her sleep. Faithfulness like Luna's reminds us of what humans can learn from our canine companions. Dogs don't love conditionally or temporarily. They don't weigh the benefits against the costs. They simply love, completely, joyfully, persistently. They forgive without reservation and celebrate reunion without resentment for the separation that preceded it. In a world that often feels fractured and divided, this capacity for devotion offers a profound example. What might our human relationships look like if we approached them with the same steadfast commitment? How might our communities transform if we valued loyalty as highly as innovation or efficiency? Luna's story isn't just about a dog waiting on a bench or a boy forced to make an impossible choice. It's about the power of connection to transcend circumstance, about how love, once given freely, cannot be undone by distance or hardship or time. It's about finding family in unexpected places and learning that belonging isn't limited to blood relations or traditional arrangements. Most importantly, it's about faith, not the religious kind necessarily, but the deeply human belief that promises matter, that connections endure, that love given is never truly lost. Luna's unwavering trust in Noah's return sustained her through abandonment and bitter cold. Noah's certainty that Luna would remember him gave him courage during painful transitions. And my faith in their bond led me to create a solution that honored what already existed rather than imposing what seemed convenient. We all need something or someone to believe in. A North Star to guide us when the path grows dark and uncertain. For Luna, it was Noah. For Noah, it was Luna. And for me, it became the privilege of witnessing and protecting their extraordinary connection. As I write this, Luna is sleeping peacefully on her bed beside my desk, her chest rising and falling in the deep rhythm of contentment. Tomorrow, Noah will visit, and her joy will overflow once again. This cycle of separation and reunion has become not a source of pain, but a testament to the resilience of their bond. Perhaps that is the greatest lesson in Luna's faithfulness, that love, true love, doesn't diminish with distance or time. It doesn't require constant presence to remain vibrant. Like a well-tended flame, it can be carried from place to place, sharing its warmth wherever it goes, never diminished by being divided. Thank you for taking the time to experience Luna's journey with me. If you've ever witnessed the extraordinary loyalty of a dog, or experienced the profound bond between a child and their canine companion, I'd love to hear your story in the comments below. Our shared experiences create a tapestry of understanding about the unique and powerful connections that sustain us through life's challenges. And if Luna's unwavering faithfulness touched your heart, please consider subscribing to our channel for more stories that celebrate the remarkable lessons our four-legged friends teach us about love, loyalty, and what it truly means to be faithful.